President Trump says the United States is moving 2 nuclear submarines closer to Russia in a response to what he calls provocative statements by their former president, Dmitry Medvedev. Here now on the rising threat level, retired 4-star general and Fox News senior strategic analyst Jack Keane. General, welcome.
Delighted to be here.
So it is not often that we speak about the movement of our nuclear subs. How significant of a threat is this, or a warning is this to Russia?
Yeah, well, I think you got to look at that in the context of what does Russia do here? I mean, Putin and Medvedev, who's his vice chairman, deputy for the Security Council, and he was a stand-in president for Putin back from 2008 to 2012. All during the entire length of this war, now in the 41, 42 months of the war, periodically the both of them have threatened and intimidated the use of nuclear weapons. And that has had quite an effect on the Biden administration. They slowed down much-needed weapons that the Ukrainians were asking for, offensive weapons, long-range tanks, the F-16s. By the way, the Europeans got onto this and saw it as a hollow threat, and they forced the deployment of those weapon systems by the United States because they were willing to provide them themselves. President Trump sees through this. This is less about military escalation, and it's more about him messaging to them is, look, you're not going to intimidate me and coerce me with this provocative language. And that, I believe, is the message here. And certainly his actions also speak louder than words. One is moving submarines. Two, he's made a decision to decisively assist Ukraine in providing arms to them. And in a few days, he's threatened the use of some pretty high tariffs and also some sanctions on them. So that's the messaging by the president here. I am not President Joe Biden. You're not going to intimidate me. It's not going to undermine what I believe is the right thing to do here. That is the message.
Do you expect that show of force will lower tensions between the U.S. and Russia?
No. I think where we are right now is Putin is steadfast about wanting to still take control of Ukraine. He's going to stay at that as long as he possibly can. And until he sees the battlefield effects of the increased weapons that are moving in that direction and also the economic sanctions and repression that will occur of that, he'll stay on this path. But there is an opportunity, based on the pressure that President Trump is providing, to get him to come back to the negotiating table. We'll see if that takes place or not. Obviously, we don't know. This is a lot has to do with where Putin is. But he has real pressure on him, both military and economically coming, and that is going to have some impact on his decision-making.
Meanwhile, President Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff and Ambassador Mike Huckabee toured Gaza aid sites this week amid growing concerns about a humanitarian crisis there. How should the United States respond as we continue to support Israel and try to encourage a ceasefire?
Well, certainly, I think the humanitarian crisis can get resolved. It's a matter of getting the distribution and the quantity and the consistency that is needed there. And I believe that will get resolved in a short order. The real issue is the temporary ceasefire, 60 days hostage prisoner exchange, doesn't seem to hold. Hamas is resisting that for obvious reasons. They want to hold on to power. They want to use those hostages as leverage. And they know we're getting down to the end here. So it's much more difficult to negotiate with them. I think what is happening in the Prime Minister Netanyahu administration is to take a look at not just the temporary ceasefire, but let's look at the end of war strategy and see if we can work a deal with Hamas to do that. Offer them the leadership, freedom and exile, disarm, and do a complete exchange of alive and deceased hostages for X numbers of detainees and prisoners, and then move the troops away from Gaza itself to the periphery. That I believe is what is being discussed right now, and it's still going to be challenging, Mike. Let's face it here. Hamas took these casualties at the end of the day to guarantee their own survival. So that is clearly what is the elephant in the room here. But I do think going to the much larger strategy, end of war strategy, may be a better option. We'll see what comes of it.
Fox News senior strategic analyst General Jack Keane, thank you very much for your time and your analysis today, sir.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.